Ever since I came to Singapore, the only kind of train I have been on is the MRT. Now, coming from India, where we are used to a well established railway network crisscrossing the entire length and breadth of the nation, I found this a bit strange. Then, on one of his runs, my partner in crime ran into this 100-year-old relic of a railway station, and I became intrigued. It took us some time to make a second trip to this place, but when we did, it left us spellbound. We took an early morning MRT and got off at King Albert Park Station, took the exit A, and started walking beneath the shaded pathway that led us straight onto the grand entrance of the rail corridor. Why a corridor? Okay, so a healthy dose of Googling helped me come up with a whole lot of history behind this massive railway network that had been literally brushed beneath debris. It all began in 1903 when the first segment of Singapore Railways was laid from Tank Road to Bukit Timah and later on extended till the Woodlands. Now, the first Bukit Timah railway station was located at the Pei Wah Avenue. In 1907, it was extended to connect People's Park, Borneo Wharf and Pasir Panjang stations. In 1909, the introduction of a wagon ferry led to the start of the first through service for cargo carriages to the Johor State Railways. In 1923, passenger service began. In 1932, the train line extended to Tanjong Pagar station next to the Keppel Docks and Harbour, and the old station closed down. Finally, as part of a realignment process, the current Bukit Timah station, where we now stood, was opened. Interestingly, since it was closer to the Bukit Timah racecourse, the station was used to unload racehorses. However, changing trends in logistical operations and more economical means of goods transport like through the seas, it led to the closure of operations of this historic railway line. So, the rail corridor refers to this entire stretch of land that was connected through a single track railway line right from Woodlands in the north to Tanjong Pagar in the south. Wow! That is a lot of history for such a small nation. Nevertheless, it is heartening to see that Singapore manages to curate and retain its past in an interesting manner to keep the interest of new generations vested in their tradition and heritage. For example, just as we entered, we were struck by the well-manicured gardens that bordered the pathways leading us to the first resting spot. It had a large plaque and that narrated the story of the rail corridor. You can sit there for a while, read about the history of this place, and then move on. Every step is marked with story plaques with information nuggets on the place as it was. I stopped at each of these. It is an interesting way to remind us how the past has phased into the present. The main station building has been retained. It is the block adjoining the station master cabin and is a quaint single-story structure. Maps of old Singapore are stuck on the wall behind the passenger waiting area, and a yellow distance marker indicating the distance from where we stood till Butterworth Station in Malaysia is still retained on the walls. Wow, isn't that incredible? Now we peered through the glazing and crystal window frames embedded in the red brick wall of the main station building that still held the shadows of its busy past. Sitting there on the wooden benches, we wondered at the people and their journeys, about the millions of stories that were weaved here, some that were carried on with them and some that were left behind to mingle with the dust on the rails. I crunched ahead on the pebbles laid out on the track to peek into the yellow wagon. It was pretty and quaint and still retained the controls. All I needed to do was press the lever to start off on a long meandering trip down the trails of history. Further down the road, we came across the Bukit Timah station signboard. It carried the name Singapura. That was how Singapore was known earlier. It immediately transported us back to the early days, and like the travelers of yore, We mingled with the morning walkers, cyclists, dog walkers, and the nature lovers and followed the track that the old train would have taken. And soon we reached the truss bridge. Now, this is a kind of bridge that uses wooden or metal triangles, which are known as truss, and hence the name. So, this bridge uses these truss as the primary component of its load-bearing structures. And owing to their capacity to bear load over extensive periods, truss bridges are often a popular choice for railroad bridges. While walking through it, I seemed to find it vaguely familiar. Where have I seen this before? And then I realized, though a distant cousin, but the Howrah Bridge back home in Kolkata is a specific type of truss bridge. Hence the similarity. Wow, isn't that wonderful? The Bukit Timah railway station is a revelation in itself of how history has a way of seeping into our present and enriching it in more ways than one. If you wish to join us on our adventures, do click the subscribe button to receive more such interesting tales from a storyteller's backpack. Click the like icon and send us your comments because your thoughts and feedback are very important to us. So till next time, stay healthy and keep traveling.